Hello, I'm Amanda Sherman.
And I'm Gus Davis. Welcome to TMN Television on Thursday, November 7th, 2019.
Tonight we take a look at the Organization Activities Fee Committee. We also check out part one of our new show, Kirksville Creeps.
And don't forget to stay tuned for our Truman Sports Update. These stories and more tonight on TMN Television. You don't want to miss this.
The Organization Activities Fee Committee will begin meeting to determine the budget for fee-based organizations such as the Student Activities Board, Student Government, and the Funds Allotment Council. This committee meets every 3 years to determine how much the activities fee will be and what percentage of that fee each organization will get. Committee member Cooper Galis says that OAF will look at how student organizations use funds from previous years when setting a new budget.
Truman State University is home to 7 individual graduate degree programs. While all of these programs are highly esteemed, the Communication Disorders Department has found consistent success in preparing students for postgraduate employment. Not only do CMDS students have a 100% employment rate upon completion of the program, but the department also has a 3-year average of 98% of students employed in the profession as speech-language pathologists. Melissa Passy, Director of Clinical Education at the Speech and Hearing Clinic run by the department, explained that the low turnover rate in CMDS staff and the close-knit environment of the clinic sets this graduate program apart from others in the state.
The annual North Star Music Festival occurred at Truman State University October 25th and 26th. The festival featured music from guest composer Yvette Harriman Rodriguez, as well as many pieces by some of Truman's graduate music students. North Star has been happening for over 20 years and is coordinated by the Department of Music and Alpha Sigma Iota, a music fraternity. There were 2 main concerts throughout the festival, both of which were hosted in Ophelia Parish.
More professors are making attending the Writing Center a mandatory part of their classes. Most class visits are about individual papers, and not all professors contact the Writing Center about a class coming in. Director of Forensics and Instructor of Communication, Christopher Outson, says he makes some of his classes use the Writing Center since it's important for a paper to not just be looked at by the instructor. Outson says not all students have the same English background, so listening to peers can be helpful. Self and society students currently visit the Writing Center most often.
Truman State University was recently granted $10,000 by the Missouri Department of Conservation. The Tree Resource and Maintenance Grant is awarded to several government entities and nonprofit groups to care for publicly owned trees. Campus planner Lori Shook says that Truman is going to use the money to focus on proper pruning and educate people on how to take care of them. Shook also says local arborists will be brought to Truman to teach groundskeepers how to correctly trim and prune trees around campus in order to keep the trees healthy. Shook says that there are a few trees that will be removed due to their age and health. When using the grant, all trees removed must be replaced by native species. Elizabeth Hooper, Associate Professor of Biology, hopes for the campus to become an arboretum, which is similar to the Botanic Garden, but it focuses on trees.
Next up, we have our Truman weather forecast.
And after that, we look at trick-or-treating on campus with Shane Anspa.
Stay tuned after the break.
Families come in all sizes and shapes. Sometimes your friends are your family by choice, or sometimes you're just stuck with Uncle Charles. But what we know is that you want to protect the people that are close to you, but the flu can unravel everything. Your flu vaccine protects you and your family. No matter what draws your family together, protect yourself, protect your family. Everyone needs a flu vaccine.
TMN reporter Shane Anspaugh participated in the annual Trick-or-Treat in the Dorms event last Thursday. Here she is with the story.
On October 31st, the Residence Hall Association hosted trick-or-treating in the dorms for the citizens of Kirksville. Students currently living on campus were able to sign up to distribute candy and were encouraged to dress up themselves. Many students felt compelled to sign up to be more connected to the community of Kirksville in a fun way. When asked about what they thought about the event, a student responded that she was glad that there was this opportunity, not only because it's a safe way to trick-or-treat, but also because it raises the morale in the dorms. Many students reported seeing about 50 trick-or-treaters that night, and were happy to report that all of the candy they brought was distributed by the end of the night. For TMN Television, this has been Shane Anspaugh.
Humans vs. Zombies is an elaborate game of tag put on by college campuses every semester. This year's event lasted from October 22nd until October 27th. Check out this inside look into the world of Human vs. Zombies at Truman.
So Humans vs. Zombies is basically just a game of like glorified tag with Nerf blasters and socks. And so you have two opposing forces. You have the humans, who are armed with socks and Nerf blasters, and then you've got the zombies who are trying to tag the humans and turn them into zombies. For example, one mission was capture the flag, and so the zombies had to protect the boxes that had flags in them, and the humans had to capture those flags and return them to the moderators. Another example would be like scavenger hunt, where the mods went and hid different pieces of maps around spots on campus, and the humans had to find the maps, and the zombies had to tag humans.
Be sure to stay tuned after the break for our Truman Sports Update.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
The football team continued its winning streak last Saturday against McKendree, bringing their overall record to 8-2 and the conference record to 5-1, with the win on Senior Day. This marks the first time the football team has pulled off a perfect home schedule since 1994. Head coach Greg Nesbitt says while the team has been excellent all year, the matchup against McKendree was one of the best performances for all three phases he has seen in his 10 years as head coach. As well as on the field, the Bulldog football team has been succeeding off the field with 4 consecutive GLVC sportsmanship trophies and leading the league in academic all-conference athletes. Nesbitt says the challenge of keeping the consistency and success from one season to the next is what makes coaching fun. Unusually, their starting lineup includes a number of freshmen as well as veterans. Nesbitt says the culture on the team keeps the team motivated and working hard. Although it's currently a ways away, if Truman wins the next 2 games, it could advance to the NCAA for the first time since 1994.
The Truman men's and women's soccer team faced Lindenwood last weekend. Both Bulldogs got the win. The men's team ended with a score of 3-1, and the women's team finished with 2-1. The men's team's first goal was scored by Yankowitz on the 26th minute from a penalty shot. The first half finished, and Truman was leading with a single goal. 6 minutes into the second half, Lindenwood managed to score a goal. Truman got the goal after the ball bounced off the opposing team into the net, which gave the Bulldogs their third and last goal of the game. Lindenwood scored the opening goal opening goal of the game, against the women's team in the 9th minute from the 25 yards. The responses came quickly minutes later when Hannah Burke scored the first goal for the Bulldogs. There were some chances for both teams, but both teams did not score until the 72nd minute when Bealey put the ball in the back of the net to give the Bulldogs the second and third winning goal.
With only 3 games left in the regular season, the Bulldogs volleyball team are facing the possibility of sitting out on this season's Great Valley Lakes Conference playoffs. This will be the first time the team has not competed since 2015. The team won their match against William Jewell College last weekend but lost to Rockhurst University. They now have an 11-15 overall record. They will play Lindenwood University on Friday and the University of Missouri-St. Louis on Saturday. Lindenwood comes in with a 5-game losing streak and 1-10 in the GLVC. University of Missouri-St. Louis are currently 23rd in the nation and has a 3-game winning streak over their GLVC opponents. Defensive specialist Meg Gasper says the team is going to have to maintain a sense of determination in their order to win the next 4 games and stay in the running for the postseason play. Gasper says speeding up the team's play to make its matches more chaotic for opposing teams might be the key to reaching the postseason.
This has been your Truman Sports Update.
Be sure to stay tuned after the break for Kirksville Creeps and Real People.
I'll never forget the day our landlord called and said, "Read your lease. No pets allowed." My owner tells him my dog ate the lease, but that didn't work. And now I'm stuck in a shelter. But this pit bull is ready for a new crib. I'm loving, loyal, and play well with others. So don't be intimidated by all my muscles, because the biggest one I have is my heart. That's right, I said it.
There are some spooky things happening on campus. Join reporter Katie Varner as she investigates the paranormal at Truman for our first installment of Kirksville Creeps.
Join us as we explore the dark, the strange, and the unexplained. Join us as we hear the unsettling tales of encounters with the unknown and the truth behind Kirksville's most hair-raising destinations. Join us for Kirksville Creeps.
The most commonly reported site of strange happenings is one that nearly every Truman student has spent significant time in: the residence halls. From items being moved with no explanation to hearing voices coming from empty rooms, almost everyone has at least one story to tell.
One day I saw my friend who has a dog, his dog was sitting outside my room, and I noticed him sitting outside, and I went to go check on him to see if he was good, if he was lost. Because I know he liked to walk around a lot, but he was just sitting outside my window, staring up at it, staring up at me almost. And I got dressed, went outside, went to go tend to the dog, see if it was good, and I couldn't get its attention. I snapped, I whistled, called his name, and he was just still staring right up at my window, which is on the 2nd floor of Dobson. And I tried to move him, he just wouldn't move. It was kind of weird how he wouldn't move his gaze from that one spot. Like something was moving in the room. My roommate didn't sleep in the room a lot last year, and I was going in and out of class a lot. So it was always weird that he was just staring at my window when there was nobody in there.
This was about early August, my freshman year, and it's 9:30ish at night, and I'm walking by Grimm Hall, and suddenly the air just drops 20 degrees, and I have no idea what's going on. And then I turn to Grimm Hall, and I see something in the window, a pair of eyes looking at me. And then I turned away for a fraction of a second. When I looked back, it was gone. I can still see the eyes. It was pretty weird.
Stories of unexplained events are not limited to Truman's dorms. Some take place in older buildings, such as Baldwin Hall.
What I would call, a pretty significant one for me, I suppose. In the telling, it's not really that interesting or exciting, but to me it was pretty substantial because there was no explanation behind it. And it happened right out here in the auditorium. As you're looking at the audience on the right side, over in the wings, there's a room we call the Patch Bay. In this room we keep equipment. I was working late one night. We were getting ready for a lyceum. It was about 1:30 in the morning. I had let the crew go, and then I was just finishing up a couple of things. So I was by myself. So I hit the lights in the odd, Then I went to the double doors exit, at which point in my periphery I saw underneath the door of the patch bay that the lights were still on. All right? And so, in spite of the fact that it was maybe, 12 feet away, I just kind of looked at it, I went like that, and I went out. Closed it, locked it, came into the office here, getting my stuff together. Then I remembered I'd left my clipboard out there, so I went to get it. I opened the door to go out in the yard, and the first thing I noticed was that the light in the patch bay was off. It was dark. And so I stood there looking at it for a minute, and I was thinking, well, okay, I suppose it's just barely possible that a light bulb took that minute and a half to finally burn out. So I went over to it, I reached around, and sure enough, the light switch was down. I flicked it up, the light was on. Minute and a half, I already locked up every other door. I wish to hell we'd had the surveillance cameras at that time, so we would have been able to see for sure. But the reason I say it's significant is because, rather than just my imagination, I actually made a physical response to it. Right? When I looked at it, I actually went like that. So it's not as if I just imagined something. Okay? It was there, it was on. When I came back a minute and a half later, it was off. So I like to think that the ghost was helping me out.
Join us next time on Kirksville Creeps as we take a look at Truman's most popular horror destination, the Devil's Chair.
Tonight, we take a look at the new installment of our recurring series, Real People, with Sam Elkins. This week's film is Jojo Rabbit.
Hello, welcome back. This is Real People, the show where real people talk about movies we've seen. I'm your host, Sam Elkins.
I'm Alex McPherson.
And this is episode 6, Jojo Rabbit Review. You don't want to miss this. For those of you who have not seen the film, this is a spoiler-free video, so do not fear, you can continue. Initial thoughts, what did you think of Jojo Rabbit?
It was absolutely fantastic, Sam. I loved the movie start to finish. It's not particularly deep. There are some pacing issues, but I feel like the message was good. Had some very powerful scenes. It was just really, really, really good.
Yes. I agree. And for those of you who don't know, Jojo Rabbit is a film that was written and directed by Taika Waititi, who directed Thor Ragnarok, for you Marvel heads. It is a film about a young boy in World War II Germany, or Nazi Germany. He is in the Nazi army, he's a Nazi fanatic, and he finds a Jewish girl hiding in his house. It's an anti-hate satire, it's a comedy, and Taika Waititi also plays Jojo's imaginary friend, the one and only Adolf Hitler. Oddly enough, for a film with such heavy themes, it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I feel like, some reviews are just saying that it's just a comedy and taking away the horror of the situation, and I don't think that it is really, and I think it's actually pretty subversive comedy in some ways, because you're not really ever supposed to laugh at the movie. I don't think necessarily. It's kind of like the uncomfortable humor where it's they're saying such outrageous, offensive things that through shock value it's funny and obviously exaggerated, but it's
yeah.
I don't know. I don't think a lot of the humor was meant to be laugh out loud funny. It's just how we interpret it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that the humor in the film was meant to get you to feel the emotion of the film even deeper. That's when you're kind of drawn, it's kind of almost like you're waking up from this sort of dream. So you're watching this sort of weird, surreal depiction of Nazi Germany.
It's almost like a Wes Anderson movie, or aesthetically.
Yeah, aesthetically, where you're seeing these horrible things, you're laughing, but you're also realizing these are pretty messed up things that are happening or being said. Once it gets into the serious moments, it takes you out of that surrealism.
Right.
and it grounds you and shows you the reality, and it kind of like slaps you in the face and is like, this is what you've been laughing at.
Because I mean, you're seeing it through like JoJo's eyes, like the entire movie.
Who's a 10-year-old boy.
Yeah, so it makes sense at the beginning that it's kind of like this like hyper reality that like gradually becomes grittier.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's reflecting like the film's like aesthetics by the end too. So like it's pretty serious like wartime drama at the end, honestly.
Yeah.
The child actors, I thought they were all like really, really, really good.
Yeah, no, the child actors were a highlight. You know, these days I'm not like the biggest Scarlett Johansson fan, but I do think she did really well in this role.
Yeah, she has one really good scene in particular.
Yeah.
Like, I won't spoil it, but
it
was really...
That was a really good scene.
Yeah, I also just think like the whole production was really great. Cinematography, fantastic. Music was pitch perfect. Actually, like I actually teared up multiple times just for like the marriage of like music and the pictures. It's just so good. I feel like the pace of the movie was like somewhat not like completely like on point the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like it dragged a little bit, and then there were some times where it kind of seemed like Taika didn't quite know how to move to the next.
Yeah. Overall, I think it was a very funny, affecting film. I definitely recommend it. You should check it out.
Yeah, it was just, fantastic. Like, most anticipated movie of the year. Definitely lived up to the hype.
All right, everybody, that's all the time we have today for Real People, Episode 6, JoJo Rabbit Review. If you'd like to see the full spoilery version, you can check that out on TMN Television's YouTube page. I'm Sam Elkins. This is Alex McPherson. If you'd like to check out his review column, he writes reviews weekly for The Index, so check it out. You want to say anything about that?
Well, I go by Gordon McPherson in The Index. Gordon's not my brother.
Next week, I will be reviewing Dr. Sleep, so I'm very excited about that. But thanks for watching.
Thank you for tuning in with us tonight. For complete news coverage, be sure to stay tuned to KTRM, pick up a copy of The Index, and look at Detours Magazine's latest adventure online. Don't forget to also check out our news content on tmn.truman.edu.
You can also follow TMN on Facebook and Twitter for breaking news updates. And if you missed our part of our broadcast tonight, check out TMN TV on YouTube. If you've ever thought about being on TV, be sure to head over to tmn.truman.edu/apply to fill out an application today. And don't forget to come back next week for our second installment of Kirksville Creeps.
From all of us here at TMN, thank you for tuning in and have a great rest of the week.